And a very warm welcome to People Matters webinar on solving India's AI productivity paradox. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to People Matters webinar on solving India's AI productivity paradox lessons from SHRPA India Report. The biggest risk CXOs face today is why, despite big investments, AI is not yet delivering real productivity gains for organizations. It's actually been talked about frequently by many global leaders at the recent World Economic Forum's annual conference at Davos as well. Now, we have observed that capability overhang, which reflects in AI adoption metrics, is likely the central challenge here. Am I audible? Sorry, I'm hearing from my team that I'm not audible. Is it better? All right. I think it's better now. So I would like to start again and welcome everyone at People Matters webinar on solving India's AI productivity paradox, lessons from India Sherpa Report webinar. All right, I'm hearing in some comments that I am audible, so I'm gonna move forward. All right, some of the insights from our Sherpa report 2026 reveal that this problem around AI productivity paradox is not just about strong ambitions or large spending. The actual gap lies in how quickly HR is restructuring job roles and mapping and developing required skills. This also widens organizations' AI readiness in capabilities to execute AI driven work and adopt technologies fully. Now, this webinar will unpack this AI productivity paradox in depth, and we have three leaders speaking with us today. But also, drawing on the insights, the session will help The session will help HR and business leaders understand what must shift in 2026 to convert these AI investments into sustained productivity and competitive advantage. We are also going to be sharing some snippets of the reports here, but feel free to download the report from the link that is being dropped in the comments by my team here. All right, without further ado, I would love to introduce our speakers here. The first one we have is Vinita Cherian, SVP HR Leadership and Talent Development at Emphasis. Hi, Vinita. Welcome to the webinar. How are you doing today?
Hi, Cheshta. Great to be here. Thank you for having us.
Wonderful. So, for our listeners, Vinita is a human resource leader currently at a helm of leadership development, talent management, and org development at Emphasis. And prior to this, she has played diverse roles both in corporate and consulting, including business partnering, reward, talent management COEs in organizations such as Amazon Web Services, Aon, Wipro Limited. Welcome, Vinita, and excited to have you here.
Thank you, Cheshta. Great to be here.
Awesome. The second speaker we have is Mohit Kumar, President HR at Hindalco.
Hi, Cheshta. Good to be here. Hi,
Wonderful
Vinita.
to have you.
Same here, Cheshta.
All right. So, Mohit is a business focused HR leader with over 30 years of experience steering organizations through complex transitions and building an empowered workforce in a highly competitive industries. He has proven expertise in org transformation and defining human capital requirements to align HR function with business goals and ongoing struggles. So, very excited to have you here as well. He's also a certified independent director, leadership coach, and ESG expert promoting conscious leadership.
Thank you. Thank you for the words.
Thank you, Mohit. And last but not the least, we have Sonia Kulkarni, CHRO of India and South Asia at Ingram Micro.
Hello.
How are you doing today, Sonia?
All good. I'm very excited to be here today.
Thank you. We are glad to have you as well. So, Sonia is a seasoned human resource and org transformation leader, holds a strong experience of more than 2 decades in digital HR transformation, analytics driven talent strategies, and fostering inclusive workplace cultures. She's a celebrated voice and an accomplished leader recognized for her strong advocacy of DEI in the workplace. Again, lovely to have you here, Sonia, and can't wait to deep dive into this interesting topic with all three of you today. All right, let's have our report up on the stage. While we have the report ready, I would love to share the context here with you and the audience today. The SHRPA State of HR Industry report is a flagship annual report, research report that People Matters does. Give me a second. All right. Is my screen visible?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Awesome.
Yes.
So I was talking about the SHRPA India Report. This is a flagship annual report that we conduct across the globe, especially in the Asia, Middle East, and Pacific region. And today we are going to talk about India-specific insights. When we conducted this report, we included survey respondents from over 200 HR and business and tech partners and 30 plus in-depth interviews. So this is the research methodology that we have, where we are going to bring some of the insights from yourself and your peers and go in depth. We'll go in depth and discuss some of these findings to understand the real-time challenges and best practices that you all can take away. All right, to start with, I think what I would love to show is here the three shifts that we know are going to disrupt, HR landscape here. And some of these shifts we are going to discuss in depth. Now, the three shifts we have here are how global talent and innovation ecosystems are going to be key for organizations' growth. The second one we have here is where we're going to delve deeper into how change readiness is slowly becoming equal to AI readiness, due to which the culture of AI readiness is very important. And the third here is tech adoption, not just the implementation or the integration is the key to the ROI and value realization. So my question to our speakers here is, what do you think is becoming the most critical when it comes to, when it comes to translating AI investments into organizational productivity? We'll start with you, Vinita.
Thanks, Cheshta. So the way that I look at it, firstly, very contextual, right? Given the AI Impact Summit in India is happening around the same time, so very contextual and timely indeed. I would look at all shifts very equally and very critically. And for me, it's a three-in-a-box model. So one, definitely the skill orchestration is so important. And I, again, come from a tech industry. So it is the core business priority in terms of how very quickly we're able to, upskill and get people along. At the end of the day, it's also important that the organization, is equipped from a change, and how do we orchestrate that change. And again, the third one is, I think it's very important. I mean, one, we talk about tech adoption, but that articulating the why, the, so what, and then the now what. Basically, it's going back to how does this matter for an employee is very critical. So I would say all of these are very critical, but and it needs to come together. So just to probably just one more line to say that at Emphasis, we talk about being tech first for our customers. And this with the same lens, we also look at in the function as well, how do we get, how are we tech first in our function? And HR is just not supported by tech; it will be shaped by tech, as our CEO says. So yeah, that's I think my perspective.
Thank you so much, Vinita. Sonia, what do you have to say?
I would like to say yes, all three are very, very important ones. But if I had to take a pick and think where would maximum impact lie from my perspective, I would probably go for the tech adoption, not implementation, being the key one to drive currency of ROI. And I come from a place where I myself have led three implementations within HR ecosystem for various ERPs as well as other tools that we have nowadays in our you know uh, tech box, as I call it, right? And I feel most of the time I call it the shelfware phenomenon, where we in organizations often focus on upfront cost of implementation than the long term process, right? So in most
Yeah.
organizations, what happens is we celebrate implementation milestones, saying, "Oh, we've gone live. Oh, now the licenses are deployed. Oh, the training sessions have started. We've started the OCM track," right?
Yeah.
But none of these actually guarantee value. Implementation is an event, but adoption is a behavior. And it is only behavior that creates ROI. Because if we don't do that, you will have situations where, having invested heavily in technology, the outcomes will not be following through. There'll be unutilized licenses. We've all been there and seen that. Failed transformation, where we just think that, oh, this tool will help us do whatever we need to do better. And then that fails to deliver value. So I think for me, tech adoption and not implementation is a key one that I would pick from here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sonia. I love how you said implementation is an instance, and while adoption is a consistent behavior. And we're going to come back to that as well and understand more in depth. Mohit, what are your observations?
Yeah, so I do resonate with Sonia and Vinita. And just building upon that, my pick will be change readiness is equal to the AI readiness. And that will be true any given point of time that what the way we need to reimagine the way we do work, how the workflow is being redesigned, what is the value which is being visualized over there, and then we are using the tech and the AI for as an augmentation over there, right? So that's the how do we look at the value design, right? And how do we look at the capabilities and the mindset of the people? Is it about what Sonia was saying, that not getting driven by the events, but looking at what value is getting created, and that is what we are adopting in each and every activity in the whatever we do, right? This morning I was having discussion about how to use AI in performance management, and as you're having discussion, you're able to see the possibilities for the coaching which can be enabled by AI while handling the issue of performance. So that brings to the other third part, that is the innovation ecosystems. All this go hand in hand, and the other piece is that how do we align the different generations which are working in our organization. So
Yeah.
multi-generational line will become the third piece to handle, right? So all are important. They go hand in hand, yeah, right? But change readiness, change leadership. That is what I would say.
Absolutely, and you've said very rightly about the change leadership here, and we'll talk about it more as well, Mohit. As we see, how business landscape is changing, and really delve deeper into some of these three shifts. What are causing these shifts? What we tried to see was what are the top factors that are influencing the business outlook in India. And what we actually came up with is that there are three factors here which are really, really key. One is the talent labor market shifts, second is the technology investments, and third is the policy shifts. So policy shifts have actually have come at second number from number 7 in 2024. And what we are seeing here is that all these three factors are actually pushing the cost of growth. So while they're pushing the cost of growth, we are also seeing there is large budgets that organizations have for HR technology, and hence India is witnessing record investments in HR technology and AI-enabled solutions in 2026. So with that, organizations are accelerating digital HR transformation across areas like talent acquisition, learning, performance, workforce analytics. But what we are seeing is, despite that surge, 53% of companies report achieving talent excellence or talent productivity as a key challenge impacting the business outcome. Number three, if you see here. Um, so, with that, this actually raises a critical question. Is India's emerging AI productivity gap primarily a technology problem, a people capability problem, or a leadership alignment problem, a change leadership alignment? Sonia, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very interesting question. So, in my view, if I have to decode it, I would say it is a leadership problem followed by a people problem, and not so much of a technology problem. And I'll explain that a little more. So bear with me. So what AI does is it creates potential, right? In terms of productivity savings, process changes, outcome efficiencies, but it is the leadership that determines whether this potential is realized or it gets quickly absorbed back into the system. So to give you an example, right? For example, AI does what it promises. It drafts faster, it summarizes, it removes friction from documentation, analysis, preparation. It does at an individual level, I feel immense benefits. Like I use Copilot, some of these very, very actively to enhance. But then what happens at a structural level within organizations is what happens to these savings, and productivity is not looked at the same way as we look at personal productivity. So what happens is it's measured in how effectively teams deliver outcomes, and not
Yeah.
not just personal productivity. I saved 20 minutes by using Copilot or Chat GPT rather than having to draft that email myself. So it means, is the business delivering outcomes faster? Are the customers more engaged? Are the backlogs reduced? Has the capacity freed been utilized? And with leadership intervention, I think um, if there's not done in the right way, these AI driven time savings tend to disappear. They are consumed by meetings, they're consumed by internal requests, or similarly, the old age adage, I believe all of us have heard: work expands to fill the time available. So you'll do
Right.
more meetings, you'll do all of those things, but then what happens is teams end up working faster, but then the outcomes are not very different. And that's where productivity stalls. So that's the
Yeah.
first part of it from a leadership perspective. Now, coming to the second part of it, which is more around people, right? I think we do see skill gaps. And then there are also management models. They are actually working against AI. So what happens is people do not have required skills. Manager actually tend to rely on, pre AI world ways of doing things. right? So what happens with that is we don't have the right job skill matches. We run reskilling programs, but not measure skill uplifts. We still reward visible busyness, saying, "Oh, this person has been in office, 18 hours yesterday because they were trying to close something as a manager." So
Yeah.
we are still using some of those old metrics, and then that's really derailing some of the things that we can look to break from there. So it is a skill people thing, it is a leadership thing, and I do not think there is enough meat in terms of technology, because technology nowadays can be accelerated, it can be customized, so it does not remain as a key challenge. So
Yeah.
my only bit will be that if we have to gain real productivity gains from AI, it has to be through leadership, where it isn't the leaders with the best tools or the best prompts. It is going to be those who can actively change how time, capacity, and delivery are managed. And
Yeah.
AI does not create productivity on its own. It creates conditions of productivity, and those conditions then turn into real performance for the market, for the business, and that's all driven. So, in essence, if you ask me, the question is no longer what AI can do. It is what are we as leaders, what are we as people willing to change so that AI can matter and deliver. That's my
Yeah.
take on it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad to hear that, and I think you shared some of the real-time challenges to really brought the intersectionalities between the urgency of leadership development and how they impact talent productivity and talent excellence. AI is an enabler here. Mohit, what are your thoughts? How will you categorize this challenge?
So I just was listening to Sonia with a lot of interest, and I do agree. No, artificial intelligence is artificial; it can't replace the human intelligence. So primarily, it is the leadership thing, and which is the role of leadership will be to understand the context deeply and simplify things. So if it is not handled well, that it reflects into the people capability and the operating model choices. Let me clarify. Let me try to explain that. Suppose let's take the HR operating model, right? Now, what's the context of the organization? Is the organization geared up for, say, business partnership and the COEs kind of a thing? And if yes, then what is the readiness for employee self-service and what is the readiness for the manager self-service? And if the right model is being chosen, then where the people capabilities will be developed on the employee side, on the side, what capabilities will be developed, or on the, say, if you're talking about the HR operating model, what capabilities at different junction points will be required, and what can be leveraged through now through AI and agentic AI on the employee side, on the manager side, on the HR side, create that seamless experience. Who can do that?
Yeah.
AI can't do that. AI can augment that. It has to be visualized and simplified by the leadership, actually, right? So that's how I see it. And investment over the investment, not in terms of leadership development. I said the thinking through clearly, understand the context clearly, and being grounded in the context, being realistic over there, and designing the operating model which creates the experience, not something works somewhere, it doesn't work over here. So how do
Yeah.
we create the models and the capabilities and the technology in line with the context? That's the key.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right. Vinita, what I want to speak with you about, like we've spoken about number one, leadership development, talent excellence. We also want to talk about how to bring that AI advantage, that AI edge. And if you see the second challenge here for 56% of leaders, they have mentioned that this is also one of the biggest business critical challenge for HR today. Now, HR's underinvestment in building AI capabilities further widens the AI readiness gap. If you see, the gap is the biggest here. And that actually poses kind of execution risks here in HR's current effectiveness versus the top HR challenges that are business critical that they need to address. And while we see that they are dissatisfied with the areas that are related to AI led change execution, they're satisfied in their change readiness intent here. So what we are when we delve deeper into this, that why this could be happening, we realize that HR is not investing enough in building capabilities. If you see, the capability development here on AI and change management is at number 9. That's huge. Now, according to you, what are some of the key mindset and skill set shifts that are needed to overcome in 2026, both for HR teams and employees across the organization?
Sure. Great question, Cheshna. And I think it's so critical, right? Like, and it is, it's so important to sort of, invest in this capability. It's as of yesterday, but the best time to start is now, is what we kind of say. So if I have to sort of, there are many, but if I have to sort of just prioritize and just pick, say, three major shifts, and this is not only for the HR function, but this is across. I think that shift from expertise to experimentation. Right now, gone are the days where I'm a expert. I'm equipped to do this. People come to me, but it's that how do we normalize pilots? How do we encourage employees to sort of tinker and in sandbox environment which are safe? How do we encourage, say, iterative learning experiments, and also at the same time there will be some time control failures as well, right? Like, how do we sort of normalize this? So that's a big shift. And I think somebody, one of my colleagues said, right, like, basically there is an AI coach, for example, right? Like, these are all very safe environments where people can practice all of this, but experimentation becomes key. That's the first one. I think the second one is, how do we focus on outcomes? And again, it goes back to that point of when we talk about adoption. At the end of the day, how am I impacting the final? What are my outcomes? And are we able to articulate it, linking it back to business metrics, right? I think AI will obviously handle the tasks, but judgment is where we all play that role. So the outcome focus is extremely critical. And I think the third one definitely is, just that being comfortable with ambiguity. Gone are the days, and again, it goes back to the first point of being that expert. Gone are the days where we have all the answers as leaders, as HR professionals. So just that being comfortable with not having all the information, but being able to take that decision with whatever you know. So it's a lot of judgment that comes into play. And we have, I mean, I have a term, basically it's basically about how you fly the plane as you sort of build it. Right now, a lot of this is also about, depends on the culture of the organization.
Yeah.
So my organization, we have this which is one of our principles, called, it's ready, fire, and then aim. So it's not ready, aim, and then fire. So it's about agility. It's about how do we do that, and leaders play that very key role in reinforcing this. So again, these would be a few shifts that are extremely critical as we sort of get into today's times.
Right. Thank you so much, Vinita. I agree with you. I think dealing with ambiguity, because a lot of organizations, and we are all like in this together, moving along and learning as well, is a key thing to be able to, connect the dots to figure it out, and being agile in, leveraging the technology meaningfully as well. Sonia, I'm curious to understand. You mentioned in the beginning that you have led 3 HR tech implementations in your tenure as well. How did you upscale? How did you identify first the skill and behavioral gaps in the HR teams, specifically when leading those AI implementation? And how did you upskill them? And this also goes on for an audience question that we have received, especially for a non-technical person in HR function. How do they adopt it effectively and ensure that technology is implemented effectively?
great question. And building from what Vinita mentioned, right? I think there is a whole playbook around what we need to do as far as skills are concerned. And I think it keeps changing depending on how the technology landscape evolves. So it's important from HR standpoint, we identify what is of consequence and importance within a particular organization ecosystem and from an industry perspective and focus on it. So basically HR, if we got to work with I, we need to understand prompts. How are you going to use prompts in the most effective way to derive the benefits? But I think to answer the other question, that how does a non-technical person, you see, common sense is never out of syllabus. Okay, so that's the first thing. So I would say we use your common sense. While there is artificial intelligence, human intelligence actually is the one which created all of this. So focus more on creativity, problem solving, doing some of the things which we have we have twisted the whole thing to say that, oh, what can AI do? I think as human beings, we have to start thinking in a different way, saying, what is it that AI cannot do? And that's where our focus needs to be as people, identifying those gaps, identifying some of those areas. So that would
Yeah.
be my take. But coming to the other question of, the mindset, how do we need to drive through? I would say we should look at things from a more systemic perspective. And HR is no different. We also need to go for a makeover, right?
Right.
And the makeover needs to be of new skills, new org, new work design. Because in the next some time, right, the bottleneck is not going to be, do you know the right prompts? It's going to be people data. How are you using people data? How are you using it to derive the right outcomes for the organization? Are you
Yeah.
using it ethically in line with regulatory compliance, right? Because one of the problems with AI that I would want to table here is, because when we work in organizations internally, a lot of things are very messy, right? Sometimes our job architecture is messy. It's not aligned overall. Our skill language is very inconsistent. We use things, different skills in very different places without having. Our controls are a minefield, right? In these situations, AI cannot save you. In fact, it will go ahead and amplify the confusion when you implement it, because some of this landscape is not ready for an AI intervention. And hence, it's important, before we even think about that, are we even looking at basics of clean data, clear access controls, right? Audit trails, ethics becoming a key competitive advantage to be able to deliver this. Because
Yeah.
you know it's, if we are leading people in 2026 and beyond, our edge will not be using AI. It will be designing our systems in a way that people trust them and leveraging them for business impact. I think that's going to be a key for HR going forward.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. And thank you for being so honest about it. I think the more transparent we are with ourselves, the better we intend to do. So, completely aligned with you there. I think going on to the next slide here, what we also observed, as I mentioned in the before as well, while 84% of leaders said that they are change ready, as compared to 70%, 78% in 2024, only 23% are AI ready. As we saw, the underinvestment in capability, and only 23% have fully adopted AI. So this kind of hampers the HR transformation goals that the organizations have, and 64% of them are going to get impacted. Now, Mohit, a question to you here. Seeing it from a different angle, are there any specific cultural norms and leadership behaviors that, according to you, distinguish organizations where AI augments human work effectively from those organizations where AI adoption fails to lift productivity?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Trishta. I'll just build upon while answering this question. I just build upon what Sonia was saying, that edge will not be AI. Edge will be how we use AI towards transformation and towards ethical way of doing it. And what consciously we are adopting in our organization is the leadership model, which is a holistic model that is. Uh, which handles the big bang out, that is the technology explosion, the different versions of technology, different versions of AI, the different possibilities of AI, and I'm sure that we will be able to handle that. The other thing which is equally important is the big bang in actually. So while we are working on these possibilities and exponential thing, the big bang in is where is our locus of control? Are we ethical? Are we empathetic? Right? It's very important to use the data in a very responsible way. What is the resilience in the individuals and what is the resilience in the system? What is the mindfulness? What is the heartfulness? And we just realized that the simplicity has to be visualized, and thereafter all these tools and AI can be leveraged to complement the picture that you have visualized. But AI cannot visualize that picture for you. How simply you can visualize the end experience. Now, coming to this basic question, what HR can do towards enabling the transformation? Do we role model the growth? It is not only do we connect it to the growth model, do we link it clearly to the value outcomes, the revenue, the cost, the experience of the stakeholders, customers, or is it somewhere happening in the ecosystem, the milestones thing that we're talking about, right? Are we clearly linking it to that? And accordingly, are we building the capabilities and the mindsets to use technology towards an end responsibly and creating the strategic outcomes, including the experience, including the revenue,
Yeah.
including the. So those are the keys that it's about thinking afresh. It's not about just putting one AI stamp over there, but thinking afresh and leveraging AI to create the business outcomes, people outcomes, culture outcomes. Culture, the enabling culture will be that as Vinita was saying, that what is the acceptance for experimentation, what is acceptance for failure when you're experimenting. Yeah, you shoot and then you aim, right? It's the agile way of working. So what's the acceptance and what's the celebration for the exponential breakthroughs? What's the cross-cultural collaboration which is there? As we're talking about artificial intelligence, it will be collaborative. Like it will not
Yeah.
be a one function, it will not be a one function thing. The intelligence has to collaborate across the functions, across the businesses, across the industry actually. Right? So how collaborative we are, how open we are, and that is where the big bang in will be. Now, what is the growth mindset that we have, right? We want only our growth, or are we ready to take everybody in that growth journey? That's the way forward, and that's the big bright possibility which I see with respect to the AI and the
Thank you so much, Mohit. Now, speaking of the organizational expectations in terms of AI productivity as a key return on investment, what we have also been observing, and you'll see that in the next slide, is as the tech investments have increased, we saw that in the beginning, so is the pressure of justifying the ROI and the value from the technology that we are investing in. And our report uncovers two possible challenges due to the perception gap that has increased between the HR leaders and HR tech partners. In the next slide, you will see the first one is at the tech evaluation or selection stage, where can we have the next slide? Yeah. So here you will see what we have done is we have mapped the perception of and tech evaluation criteria from the HR leaders on the y-axis and HR tech partners on the x-axis. While cost constraints, security, data security, and experience are top for both of them, and at the top right they are aligned. Where they are not aligned is having a unified and integrated ecosystem and change management and adoption support that is primary for HR leaders. And on the other hand, at the bottom left, bottom right, you will see is the ROI measurement and deep analytics and reporting that HR tech partners consider to be the must have criteria. Well, for HR leaders, it is not. And we think it should be. That is a red flag because that will create a disintegrated HR dashboard. The second possible challenge here you will see is in terms of leveraging technology, the perception gap on the next slide that we have, which talks about that if you'll see the left, right, and bottom, where the major areas and perception lies, is again the lack of analytics, clarity on the ROI realization, and resistance in change and adoption of new technologies. So, which actually states that AI readiness and data mindset is a prerequisite. Now, as we suggest a shift to focus from tech implementation to outcome based selection and adoption for greater ROI, Vinita, I'd love to learn your views on it. What have been your top learnings on how to maximize the technology ROI in 2026? Do they resonate with these two possible challenges, or is there something completely different that you have observed?
Yeah, no, great. Again, good and very good insight, Cheshta. That I mean, I was really reflecting on this as well when I was reading through this report. So very clearly, I think the gone are the days where we do something just as inputs, right? Like I mean, it's finally about what is it leading to as business impact. I think one of the learnings that I've had is one that there's a lot that we can do in terms of obviously leveraging technology for talent. But one is very, very important to prioritize where is it that we would want to focus on, and not to say not, the others are not important, but where is it if I have my money, where do I put basically where is it that I will double down on. And that is important to have that clarity, to have that open conversation within the function, so that there is obviously investment that we're putting in there. The other one, which I would also say is, I think the intent is not to do AI or leverage AI for AI's sake, right? I mean, I think it's very important to articulate, I mean, why are we doing this, right? Like, essentially, what business metrics will it move? What work will it eliminate? What is the end result? Is this yielding to employee experience? And how will we manage success? Again, breaking this big, this thing into multiple phases. All of this is very important. And I think for us, when we looked at, again, just for example, taking AI in recruitment, I think where one of the areas we focused on is, it's finally about the speed of fulfillment will, have a direct correlation to our revenues. So that's one of the, areas that we're looking at. But I think just going back to probably a previous question, I think whatever that may be, it's very important to transparently communicate this to the employee, right? Like, where are you using AI? Where are you not? Because I was also, reading like there are a lot of times, when you use AI in your probably first level of recruitment, there are, I mean, that trust in the process sometimes takes a toll, and therefore that becomes extremely critical to kind of say where are you using AI, where are you not. And similarly, again, in our internal, whether it's your bots who are answering employees' questions and so on. So yeah, I would probably say definitely that starting with definitely the business impact, but also at the end of the day, how are we, like I previously alluded to, how we taking the employees along or taking organization along is also important, and that's where that change orchestration role really becomes super important.
Absolutely. I think that's a great addition. Sonia, what are your thoughts? What have you observed? What have been your learnings from trying to drive maximum ROI from the tech adoption?
I think very similar to what Vinita mentioned. And I think one thing we were able to focus on is you see, AI needs frequent monitoring and retraining, right? One of the things which was very different from my earlier experience, having now worked with predictive analytics and AI. So, what used to happen when you're doing an ERP implementation? You take a tool, implement it, get the workflows planned, and then they work, right? And they deliver some of it. Whereas with AI, it gets into a very different realm. Over time, as with more and more data churn happens, and I did this with predictive, attrition analytics that we did for, one of the organizations I worked with, I realized sometimes AI does get corrupted with over few months, and there are biases, there are those challenges that come in as well. So it's important when we think of implementing AI for getting the right ROI, the how is equally important, and we focus on that as well to ensure that it's ethical, that it's right. And we need to constantly be aware and retrain some of the AI models, because they will start showing some levels of incoherence, and it happens very, very naturally. It's like you have to go looking for them to be able to safeguard and run with it. So while ROI is a great metric to choose, my sense is, if we want to build a trustworthy system, I think some of this work on AI is equally important for us to look into and drive.
I love that. That's an angle that should definitely be explored and be considered by organizations to have a comprehensive picture and not just run for the ROI, of course. Yeah, I think great insights. What I would like to do is show three emerging gaps that we are observing here out of this conversation on the next slide. As we are seeing, obviously, technology investments are increasing, the AI productivity gap is widening. And this is reflecting in terms of the AI readiness gaps, the gap in capabilities that are needed for change transformation. This is further being seen in the value realization and ROI, comprehensive ROI that organization can get by fully adopting agile and AI-powered platforms. And this is further resulting in the HR being effective at mitigating their business critical challenges, such as leadership development, further AI advancements, implementation, and the big one being talent excellence and productivity. So on the next slides, although we have laid out three imperatives here for everyone. One is how data influency and AI readiness can be HR's start to end capability mandate, how we need to move from tech implementation to selection and adoption for increased return on investment, and the third one being leadership, talent, and AI excellence, keeping this to core to HR's every decision making. But I'd love to put the question to you as well here. Looking ahead at the next 12 months, what should HR leaders do differently than the past 12 months to ensure that scaling AI in their organization also translate directly into organizational productivity? We'll start with you, Mohit.
All right. Thank you, Trishna. So we have been discussing that AI is not only for the efficiency. How do we again think more and more about what value can be created, right?
Yeah.
How to reimagine the entire org design and the workflows, and what value can be created, and where to deploy AI as an augmentation over there, right? So that piece has to be done by us in terms of visualizing and simplifying the operating model, the org design, right? The second piece will be what's a change readiness mindset shift in the capabilities required in line with what we are choosing in the first scenario. So, what capabilities will be required, and the mindset that it's not only about compliance, it's not only about it's about visualizing that in each and every process the things can be lifted by using the AI. It becomes a way of life. It is not, there's no more running away from the AI. How do we utilize that in each and every way of working of ours? And third, and the bigger piece is the most important piece for me, that when we are deploying the AI, what capacity gets created. So whatever work No, today only we are discussing about the capability planning and development, the work which typically takes around 6 months to 8 months project that can be done easily in almost no time for a function. Now, that's a huge capacity release. With that capacity release, what will HR do, right? And that is where the possibility and that is where the opportunity is to move up the value chain. And the question that Sonia was saying, what AI can do, right? That is what the humans. That is what the HR will have to do. The coaching up to a level AI can do, but coaching beyond, the development beyond, the leadership development beyond what AI can do. Yeah, the collaboration, the culture building, all what all is a possibility for HR folks to move up the value chain and do the and make the impact that HR function is supposed to, which is out of the HR functions. In nutshell, one is visualize value, simplify, and use technology, build capabilities for managers and the leaders towards the mindset and the skills. And third is what are the capacity leverage, move up the value chain towards creating impact. Don't let it go.
Thank you for summarizing it so well, Mohit. Vinita, what are your concluding thoughts? What would you advise to HR leaders leading this effort?
Yeah, no, Mohit has, I think, just to add on to what Mohit has beautifully summarized, I think for me, building AI literacy is just core and center. I cannot influence a business leader unless I understand the technology. And when we joined the workforce, people used to say to be an effective business partner, you do need to understand the business. But today, it's you do need to understand technology and invest in that. I mean, one, the organization will definitely give you that framework, but at the end of the day, how do I take it as an HR professional on myself to sort of go ahead and do that? That's definitely for me very important. The other one is practice what you preach, right? Like as leaders within the function, if I'm talking to a business leader about, hey, how are you adopting AI in your team? Am I doing that for my own, team? Am I doing that for my own function? That is, for me, very, very critical. And I think the third one is, it's not today an enabling role that we play. It is a co-creating role. It is a driving, being that driver. And therefore, how do you sort of activate those informal networks for, accelerating this adoption? I think that is where sort of HR can play a very critical, key, and strategic role. And I would just say it's a very exciting time, and there's a huge opportunity. So very exciting time to be in this space right now.
Thank you so much, Vinita. Sonia, over to you.
I know both Vinita and Mohit have covered most of the points, and if I have to add just one, I think for me it will be culture. I think culture is center stage. Culture is very, very important because it's, to me, it's like the operating system in the company. You can have the best software, the best tools, anything, but if your operating system is not good, it's not optimized, it's not working well, whatever best you have, it will not give you the right results. And I think one particular initiative I would want to share here with all of you, it's like one of these digital transformations that we were driving, and which had AI recommendations and other things as part of that transformation. And one thing that I can share as the best practices that worked for us is we created a very open forum for discussion. And we still realize that, in workplace, there are hierarchies, and sometimes even having an open forum does not work. So what I did is we had two whiteboards put in the office. One was what I dislike about AI in this transformation, right? And the other board was what I love about AI. And so we had employees share a lot of their fears about AI, a lot of things that were not working. These were just posted. Anybody could come in, put a post-it there. And when we started, we had, as you would know, right, the board was full, and even on the wall beyond the whiteboard there were post-its on what was not working with the new model, with the AI, all of that. And slowly we started seeing, identifying, solving for some of those issues. and we saw some early wins. We ensured people also put in more details, and slowly we could see the shift that happens. People were more open about learning, about understanding. There were success stories. So all I will say is, as culture shifts, the productivity gains do amplify. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort. Really, I will say it takes a lot of effort. But then what happens is it's going to give you an edge in the market. So over the next few years, you see what will happen is the AI will become very ubiquitous. Everybody will have it. Tools
Yeah.
will level out. Skills uplift would have reached their potential. Access will be universal. Everybody would have access to it. And the differentiator in the market in the next few years is actually going to be not who has AI, but it will be who knows how to lead in an AI enabled environment in the most ethical, impactful way, keeping people and customers at the center of every decision. I think that's going to be a key differentiator, moving forward.
Thank you, Sonia. Couldn't have concluded it better. I think you shared a very simple yet impactful practice, creating a safe environment for employees to share their fears, share their experiences, or what they want to experiment as well in a safe environment that really brings employees in along with HR leaders in the journey of AI adoption, hence creating a culture of AI readiness. So that's really, really simple yet effective practice that you shared, and I think that also answers one of our audience's question on how expert opinion on fostering AI adoption, I hope. So yeah, great conversation. Thank you so much, Vinita, Sonia, and Mohit, for your expert insights, for such an insightful session, for bringing your real time learnings and best practices to the table as well. We examined why change ready organizations still struggle to unlock value from AI and how HR can really solve it by driving a culture of AI readiness, bringing adoption discipline, reducing capability overhang, and ultimately improving productivity paradox. I hope to our listeners, I hope you all have takeaways from our leaders that you can leverage in your organization's journey to drive the AI productivity as well. And you can download the full report from the link that is being dropped in the comments. Thank you again for your time, everyone.
Thank you. It's wonderful
Thank
being
you.
over
Thank
here.
you. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Bye. This is Shesha from People Matters.